Hi, welcome to my channel Mostly Knitting. I'm Tash and this is a weekly podcast where I talk mostly about the knitting that I've been doing during the week and any other crafting if I happen to have done any. So if you're new here, welcome to the channel and I hope you enjoy. So I'm going to start with a segment called Friends from the Vault, which is a knitted item that I made earlier, and I'm wearing the Lotta dress, which was in the Lane magazine. I can't remember which episode, but I'll put it in the down bar. And it's by Greene, and I used Colinette Jitterbug in Velvet Leaf, which is this kind of swampy green sort of colour. I'll stand up and show you. So it's got some really lovely details, which I'll show when I take it off. But you can see it's got a twisted rib on the arms, and it has, let me see, actually I can probably, I'll show you that. It'll be easier for me to show you some of the details when I take it off, but it's definitely got this sort of like a tuck at the front, and it's got a deep V, and I'm just wearing a tank underneath it, just a, you know, like a basic camisole tank. And let me see, it weighs 415 grams. I really enjoyed making it. It's very, very comfortable. It's, you know, knitted dresses are my secret pajamas. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Oh, my gauge was a little bit tighter, so the Colinette Jitterbug, it's meant for a sport weight yarn, knit at a 22 stitch gauge, 22 stitches and 29 rows. I got 24 stitches and 34 rows, so a little bit tighter and a little bit shorter. So I knit the 35-inch size, which turned out about 32 inches, and so that's just, and that's my bust size. So might have stretched out a little bit actually. When I take it off, I'll measure across the circumference and I'll put it down here as to what the actual finished, but it's sort of a bit tricky to tell because you've got this sort of, I guess, opening here. So, but I did knit the 35-inch size, which if my gauge stayed true would end up 32 inches, which is 0 ease for me. And I just knit it a little bit longer because my row gauge was a bit short. I just knit a bit further down in the body, and otherwise I pretty much followed the pattern, and it was a really nice easy make. I don't knit a lot from magazines or books. I used to, not nearly as much now. There's, you know, a lot more independent designers that are just putting things out there pattern by pattern. So in fact I have a lot of books that I don't even sort of look at that much, so, and yet I'm not ready to part with any of them. So I don't know, there's something kind of comforting, and it also feels like this is kind of part of my my library, if that makes sense. Even if I don't go to them, I sort of wonder maybe one day, not necessarily that I would have a yarn shop, but I have this kind of vision of having a place where people could come and or I don't know, like having a room in my house where people could come and knit, and I don't know, yeah, like more than just friends, like a drop-in centre for knitters or for mums who need a break from like just, and I don't know, I'm going fully off topic here, but I have that like sort of off Friends from the Vault, but it is definitely like a vision thing of mine. I had, as a kid, I used to go to this place called the Drop-In Centre, which was kind of like for, you know, it was for teens that instead of going off doing crazy stuff, they might go somewhere that's sort of organised and safe, and you could play pool and make yourself a toast and Vegemite sandwich and a cup of tea or a hot chocolate. And sometimes I remember there would be times where I'd feel like I want to go somewhere, but I just want to go to a cafe, but I just want to go to a quiet, safe space and knit and make a cup of tea and not feel like there's noise of, I don't know. Anyway, I'm fully rambling at the moment. But that's kind of, I do have a vision. So that vision is to have a room or a space where it has yarn that people could pick up and use, and books they could read. And anyway, I don't know if it will ever happen, because at the moment I've still got 3 teens and early 20s living in the house. So that's not my life right now, but I think about it. Anyway, so I have all these books that I don't actually always go to, and then probably by the time this happens, they'll be so out of date. They'll be like 80s magazines that people will be like, I don't want to look at that. That's just, anyway, that was a full digression. I might keep that, I might not. Anyway, so this is Lotta. I did make notes on like what I got to for my sleeves and what I got to for the front and the back, because I find that helpful if I ever end up making it again. So that's Lotta by Greene, and I might actually just show a few of the details after I get changed. Right, so I just thought I'd show you some of the details for Lotta. So it's got this, almost looks like kind of pin tucks details with these columns of slipped stitches, not slipped stitches, twisted knits, and then pearls in the background. And it sort of has that on the bottom as well. Oh, sorry, let me show you, like that. Yeah, which is really pretty. And this yarn was in my stash for a really long time. I can't remember when I made this. This is probably about 5 or 6 years old, but I think the yarn had been in stash for about 5 or 6 years. And I just was looking for, you know, the right project for it. And yeah, this turned out to be a really great one. It's not probably one of my favorite knit dresses. The style is very sort of cocoon shaped, and that's not a style I usually wear, but you know, it's nice to wear something different, not have every shape exactly the same. So yeah, so that's the Lotta dress by Greene, and it is available for individual purchase, but it's like $11 US. Or you can, I guess you can get it from the magazine. I'll look up and see if the magazine itself is available digitally, but I actually had a hard copy of it. Right, so that's Lotta, and I'm up to finished objects. So I'm wearing, oh, what is that? Fluff? No, oh, it's my necklace. Just that. It's around the wrong way. Right, so this is Anna, the Anna tee by Sara Stark, and I knit it using Drover and Classer Bellevue Park 5-ply in the colorway Vintage Rose. So I'd almost finished it last week, and I finished it now. I did that extra inch or so in the body that it needed, and it's got enough, like even if I raise my arm, like if I really raise my arms, you'll see it. That's my belly button there, you'll see my tummy, but generally it's pretty good. I can move around without any trouble. And it's got a twisted rib that's full twisted rib, so you twist the knits and the pearls. And it was meant to have a stretchy bind off, but I found that was just way too flary, so I just did a regular in pattern bind off with a needle one size up. So the body is knit on 3.75mm needles, which for the sport weight yarn, I think the gauge was something like 24 stitches, 24 I think. Excuse me. And then the ribbing I knit on a 3mm needle, and then I bound off with a 3.25mm needle. And let me see, was there anything else? I used just under 2 skeins, so I think it weighs about 175-ish grams. Yeah, maybe 170, something like that. I didn't weigh it, I weighed the leftovers, and I can't remember if the balls themselves were a little bit overweight. But yeah, it's really nice. Oh, it's got this saddle shoulder, which I was a bit worried about, but it's turned out okay. It's got like a little bit of puckering here. I probably could have not gone quite as far perhaps, so like shortened that a little bit. That might have helped. But you know, in general, I think it looks nice. It just kind of looks perhaps like a little bit of a puffy sort of sleeve. Not crazy puffy, but a little bit puffy sleeve detail. And yeah, really nice sort of crew neckish style top, and it's lovely and warm, although it's boiling here today. I forgot to say I'm recording from Sydney, Australia, and it is spring here. We sort of officially say we start spring on the 1st of September, and it's 27 degrees Celsius here, which is, mental math, 70, I think about 74 Fahrenheit. Hang on, no, more than that. 10 is 50, 20 is 68, 25 is 70, oh, I'm probably going to cut this out. So 20 is 68, you add 9, 20, if you add 5, you add 9. So 25 is 77. That's 80 degrees actually. It's like 81 degrees today, so very warm. Anyway, I'll probably cut that out and just say it was 81 degrees today here in Britain, really nice and warm. So the Lotta was perfect for today. Right, so am I happy with this? Yes, I am. I was a little bit worried about this here, but it all blocked out fine. And yeah, really nice top. Would I make another one? I don't see it becoming, because of this little bit here, yeah, I just don't see it becoming like a full regular in my wardrobe like some of my other knitted tops, but I am glad I knit it. Right, so I'm up to works in progress and I have some new ones. All right, it was actually too hot to stay in the Anati in Alex's room because I'm in my daughter's room recording while she's at work, and then she's going to the gym afterwards. So yeah, that's why I'm in a slightly different location. Yes, and I got too hot. So, and I was going to reference this in terms of, this is the Audrey top by PetiteKnit. I was going to reference this top in relation to my plans. So I thought, you know, I'm just going to put it on now because I'm hot. Right, so my new and shiny is Camisole No. 5. So I've actually, this doesn't look like a lot, but given it's very fine yarn, it is actually a fair bit of knitting, and it's all a little bit caught up. But it is Camisole No. 5 by My Favorite Things, and I've done the straps and then the front section, and then I'm working down the back now. Now obviously it looks super tiny, but it's very stretchy. So this is the this is Camisole No. 5 by My Favorite Things knitwear. I'm using Wollmeise Lacegarn in the colorway Schwefel, and I think I'm pronouncing that close enough. And normally this comes in a 300-gram hank, but it comes in 100-gram balls in the kit that I bought, 300-gram balls in the Walk on the Moon kit, but I never actually planned to make the Walk on the Moon shawl. I just wanted the 100-gram balls. So, and you can't buy them, or you couldn't, maybe you can now, but you couldn't at the time buy them in 100-gram balls. So that's going okay. Like there's a fair bit still to go. Oh, not too bad. I've got like maybe 32 rows of the back to get down to where they're even. And so this is meant to be on a 3mm needle, but I'm using a 2.5mm, not because I did a gauge swatch or anything. I just felt I've used this yarn on a 2.75mm needle before and liked the fabric, although not in ribbing, but I did like the fabric. So I just thought, you know what, I'll just do that, and fingers crossed. And obviously, yeah, like it's so stretchy, I'm sure it'll be fine. The thing that's a little bit interesting, because she tells you to try it on to make sure the straps are long enough, and like it's gonna look a bit silly when I try it on. It's definitely long enough to, well, actually there isn't some neck finishing that has to happen. So like it's got quite a bit of stretch here, and this is gonna stretch out, and there's a pickup with double knit on the side. And there's a little, quite a short, what do you call it, short ribbing here, and I think it even looks folded over. Actually, I haven't read that far. But if you see where this is now, this is much higher than this, and so technically, if I just knit to pattern, that's probably going to be like a bit strangling. So I'm thinking what I'll do to bring that down a little bit is once I get to the right number of stitches with all the increases, then I'll just knit straight down a little bit. So, but before I do that, I will pick up and do the neckline edging so that I can try it on at least for the neckline fit. Because it's like, it feels fine if I have it here, but if I actually put it where it's supposed to be, just tie my hair back quickly. If I put it where it's supposed to be, which is back here, you know, like in terms of the number of rows where it's meant to sit, and I know it's meant to sit quite high, but like I don't want to be strangled by my top. So I think if I do it like that and then just knit a bit more straight, then when they're ready to match up, then I'll join in the round. So even though I didn't knit the straps longer, I think what I'll do is just, yeah, draw it down and make the back a bit higher by continuing on a bit further. So I think that will work. Fingers crossed. And I was not loving it in the beginning, just because it's, you know, like getting the setup sort of happening and getting it, I couldn't get into the rhythm of the pattern, so it was taking me a little while, but it's a very similar sort of increasing on this, and then as we go out, and then now on the back. So I don't need to look at the pattern now for what I'm doing. I can look at it and see where I am, and I know where the increases go, and you know, I'm just working along. So yeah, I'm enjoying it more now than I was at the beginning. And obviously if it was a second knit, I'm used to the construction and everything now. So, but I'm not going to talk about the second one before I've finished the first one. So, but you know, sometimes when you're knitting something and you're like, oh, I'm going to finish this, but seriously, I'm not going to do another one of these. I did feel that in the beginning. I don't feel that way now. Right, so that is the camisole number 5. So I cast on another pair of Skimmer socks because I finished those mitts for my daughter Mia. Now I've got these two balls are getting, I've got 2 of them, so I'll show you progress. I was trying to work out what this yarn was. At first I thought it was Mustache Yarns, and then I actually think it's Knit Picks Felici. But what's interesting is I couldn't find a previous project with it. So this is leftovers. I couldn't find a previous project on Ravelry that used this yarn. And so I'm thinking that I must have maybe made a present for someone, and probably a present for someone who was on Ravelry, and that's why I didn't put it on Ravelry. So anyway, these are the Skimmer socks. That's where so I've finished that, and I've put that on just on the cable, and then I'm working along the bottom flap section. And I've started 2, mainly because I've actually been walking and knitting. I can't remember who, somebody was talking to me, maybe someone in a podcast was doing it. But anyway, this has all been done on walking, and maybe just a little bit when I was chatting with my mum. So yeah, so that's really good progress. It's very easy to do when you're knitting, and because I don't have to look. Although when I first was doing it and I was sort of splitting off, I found myself kind of looking at my feet as I was walking and knitting, and I started to get a bit like when I knit in the car and I get a bit sick. So anyway, once I sort of got a bit like, okay, I need to actually look at the knitting, not my feet. And so I couldn't knit on a bushwalk, and but I can definitely knit on just like, you know, locally on paved parts and whatever. So yeah, so they're the Skimmer socks, and it's nice to get some progress and some exercise at the same time. And the other new cast on is the Sophie Scarf. Now I remember when I first saw the Sophie Scarf, I thought, what is that? What's that going to do? That's not going to keep anybody warm. That's like this weird little tie around your neck, just like an accessory. And then I was like, well, I guess that's what it is. It's an accessory. So it might, I have heard that people have said that they actually does, like it is a nice little thing that does keep you warm, and it is like, I would add a pop of colour or just a little something, although I'm not using a colour, but I mean a grey anyway. But this is, so it's a Sophie Scarf. I'm using, again, weirdly, leftovers that I don't have an original project from. I don't know what it is, but I got this yarn on a retreat from the craft sessions back in 2017. I do remember that. I remember where I got it from, but I don't, and it's kind of a nice, it's a DK weight yarn, but it feels like quite a plump DK. And I have 66 grams, and that seemed to be enough. So having weighed it, I'll just knit halfway and then start decreasing. So I put a little marker to help me in terms of, you know, like where I actually do the increases, because you increase every so many rows. And it's just got these I-cord edgings. I don't love, so I'm happy with it on this side, which is actually the wrong side. Not that it matters, because, you know, sort of, you're going to see both sides. But this side where I do the increases, it's just not as even where the, I don't know if you can see that, where the increases happen. So I'm not sure if it will block out, but it's not horrible, but it's not as good as, like, that's nice and neat. That's kind of untidy. So anyway, we'll see if it blocks out. If not, it's not the end of the world. I might look up notes on Ravelry and see if maybe people have done a different kind of increase, or put the increases somewhere else, or if they're also experiencing that same slight untidiness on the I-cord edging where you do the increases. And only on the side you do the increases. It's completely nice and neat, pretty much nice and neat on the side where you don't do the increases. So yep, so that's the Sophie Scarf. I don't know how much I've done, but I'll weigh it when it looks like I'm getting close. So they're my 3 new cast-ons, and I have 3 previous projects. So this is my Pie Camisole by Nabita Jouret out of Knitting for Olive, what is it, cotton merino yarn. I won't try this on because I actually don't have a bra on, and I reckon it'll be finished next week. So because I'm actually on the ribbing and I'm almost finished. So I was, and the pattern says to do it the same number of rows, like as in also 2 inches. So that's meant to be 2 inches, 2 inches, and then 2 inches on the bottom. I think I might have made it a fraction long for that. So I knit this a bit short. This is 1 3/4 inches, so 23 rows. So, and at the moment I'm on 15 and it already feels like I should be finished, as in like where the length is. So I might knit to 18 rows, try it on, and then if I'm happy with it, bind off. So I think I've actually only got 3 rows. And then for the neckline, I just need to redo the bind off. So what I found, this had an Italian bind off for stretchiness, but I found that was actually going to be too stretchy for me. So I just did what I usually do, which is go up 1 needle size for the bind off and bind off in pattern, which I did on the sleeves, and that feels fine. But on the neckline, it's just too stretchy. So I'm going to go back, unpick the bind off, which shouldn't take that long, and redo it just on the 2mm needle. So this is on a 2.5 for the body and a 2mm needle for the neckline, and it could do with a bit of a block as well. So yeah, so, and really, I really like this. I'm actually going to be very excited to finish this, and that's definitely going to be done for next week. Right, so that's the pie camisole. I have 2 more works in progress that haven't made any progress. So if you've already seen them before, you might want to skip ahead, but if you haven't, I'll show you. This is the Muscle Bra hat by Solder Teague, and I'm using a 3.25mm needle, and I increased to 136 stitches, and this is using Hedgehog Fibers Skinny Singles in a colorway exclusive to my yarn store, Skein Sisters. So this, I think I've done maybe 3 rows. There's my marker. I think I've only done 3 rows, so not much. And because I've had a lot of other stockinette projects, even like the socks, that actually when the socks get a bit tricky, like as in when I have to start doing around the picking up the stitches and all of that, and I won't be able to walk and knit with them, I'll either do the Sophie Scarf for walking and knitting or the Muscle Bra. Right, so that's and this is my 16th Muscle Bra. So, and this one's taking a long time to do, but I'm not in a rush. So anyway, so that one's again slowly coming along, and my last one is Exploration Station, which is a shawl pattern by Stephen West, and I'm using Tosh Merino, mostly Tosh Merino Light, and these 2 colors, Neon Peach and Antler, are in the pattern recommended. I've used Graphite instead of El Greco, and then this was Reindeer, but instead I used a different yarn called Swish yarns in an apricot colorway. And I'm still at the same point. I've only done 5 rows of the brioche, and I kind of need a bit of, well, not a bit, like I need a chunk of time where I'm not sort of trying to do something else at the same time as knit. So, and I'll probably I needed to watch Stephen's video again for these 5 rows, and because it was so long ago, I'll need to watch them again. So if I can just sit down for a bit of a chunk of time and get like maybe, you know, sort of 8 rows and then one day and then 8 rows the next day, I sort of usually try to do with something like this, a bit of sort of milestones for myself. 8 rows today, 8 tomorrow, 8 the next day, and we'll all be done, you know, something like that. And then moving on to something that's a bit more autopilot, because I think the rest of the pattern is a bit more, well, for me anyway, something that I can just relax. And you know, once I sort of get going on brioche, I'm okay. It's just the getting used to it that is a bit of, yeah, takes a little bit of getting used to when you don't do it all the time, like most things. Right, so that's my works in progress. So I'm doing my purchases now. So the Newton yarn that I referred to last week came in the mail. I just grabbed like a couple of balls of it because there's a few balls, or whatever these are, I don't know what they're called, balls. So I just grabbed them to show, and I haven't worked out what to make with it yet. I sort of haven't really had time, but it's this unspun yarn. It's very fragile and delicate, but I'm sure you could either you know, use it in combination with something else or when you start knitting it, but I'll have to be quite careful with it. And the lady who I bought it off, she already had some that was wound together, so 2 strands together, so I guess you could use it like that. She only had like 1 small ball. Most of it's just like this, so she threw that in for free. So I guess you could hold that like that, single, or that would be quite light, single, or with a silk mohair maybe for a bit of strength, or you can hold it double. Anyway, so I'm curious, like I'm curious to sort of find a project and do a bit of swatching for this. Yes, and just see what other people have made from it. So they're the two colorways that I got. And yeah, it feels really nice. It's probably a little bit scratchy. I wouldn't make a cowl or anything. I'd definitely be making a sweater with it. So it'd probably be quite warm too. So definitely be a sweater, and probably not a next to skin sweater, like not something with a big cowl neck or whatever. Like I'd be wearing a top underneath it. Although it would be fine, like if I had a short sleeve top. That's not scratchy to me at all. That's just totally fine. Okay. So that's the new knitted yarn, and the other purchase that I made was the Sophie Scarf. And now my in-laws have arrived. They're having a nap at the moment. That's one of the reasons I'm in Alex's room, because I sort of just want to, if they want to come out and make noise in the kitchen, they're not going to bother me, or I'm not going to feel self-conscious. Anyway, so I haven't seen them. I've been at work all day. And I'll talk about more of that in the end of the podcast, but so what it means though is that I have the yarn that they've brought for me that I purchased, and I haven't opened it yet, and I've never really been an unboxing videos kind of person, but I kind of thought maybe it might be kind of nice to show you. One of the bags had actually already sort of split open, not like it was in their suitcase, so it's not like it, but I could sort of see some of the yarn peeking out, and it's not what I expected, the color. So I'm a bit, and then I sort of started rummaging a bit more and was like, oh, that's not what I expected either. So you're gonna see, like, aside from that, that's all I've seen so far. So I'm gonna pull it up here. It might be a bit noisy because of the bags, so you can like just mute me if you like and just see the yarn come out, or just ignore this segment if you like. Okay, so this is what was spilling out, which is the Pearl Soho linen quill. Now this is really pretty, a really pretty color, but it's not nearly as icy blue as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be much lighter. It's actually looking quite light there because I've got the light shining on it. But if I turn that off, actually it doesn't look very, it's hard for you to see it if I turn that off. Anyway, look, it's more of a medium, actually that's kind of closer to the color. If I hold it too close, it looks really light, but it's sort of a middish blue. And this is the one that, like, I still really like this color. So even if I don't use it for the half and half wrap, I've got 3 skeins of it, which is 1200 meters, so heaps. But this is the one that is not really what I was expecting, and I don't really love it, and I'm not sure. Actually, I don't know. I don't know, like I can't even, it's funny because I've knit my ranunculus out of an orange, and yet this is just not an orange that sings to me. Maybe together they'll be all right, and oh, you know what it could be? You know how the half and half wrap, you mainly see one color and you only see a little peek of the other? Maybe I'd be all right with that. I don't know. Doesn't, like, they don't just initially make me go, yes, match made in heaven. So anyway, a little bit of like, oh, the yarn feels lovely. I'm looking forward to working with it. This color does not make me like, I don't, you know, doesn't bring joy, but doesn't spark joy to me. But maybe peeking out underneath that, it might. Anyway, I have to have a think about that. Love to hear your thoughts. I don't know that anyone's done this combo, maybe for good reason. Yeah, that's the really difficult part of online shopping. Even if something is beautiful, if it's not what you were expecting, or especially if you're planning to do 2 colors together, that can be a problem. Anyway, that's all right. We'll be okay. It'll be all right. So this is my Pearl Soho order. Let me get whatever else is in here out. So this is the other color, or this is the other yarn. This is the Sweetgrass yarn that I'm going to use for the Soho top. And oh, I like this. This is really nice. This is actually even, this is a really lovely caramelly kind of light caramel color. That's going to look really pretty in the Soho top. So yay, that's a winner. That might be my yeah, that's really, I'm excited, yay. Okay, so that's my Pearl Soho purchase, and Wool & Co. Okay, so this is the Wool & Company purchase. There were a couple of things that they had to take off because they didn't have them in the same dye lot. But I got quite a bit of Sandusgarn tin liner. So I got it in this kind of, what's this? 4002 colorway. This here, really lovely. It actually reminds me of ballerina. So that's really pretty. And let me see. I don't really want to put anything on the floor in my daughter's room because it's not the cleanest. I'll put it on a bag on the floor. And then, actually, maybe I'll put these colors together. These are the tin liner colors that I got. Again, part of this problem is like I can't tell, like trying to tell from the website like what I like and don't like, and you know what it would turn out like. I think this is the one that I got for the couture top. Oh, look how shiny that looks there. That's for the couture top. I only got 2, and then these ones. Oh, how close are those two? Those two are super close. They look like the same color. Are they the same color? No, they're not. I got 3 of those because I was trying to work out. Well, I got 3 just for safety, and also trying to work out color. Those two are very, very close. But yes. Definitely all the pinks and I guess a purpley in there. So yeah, really looking forward to working with this yarn and trying it out. So that's the tin liner that I got. And what else? I tried to get 2 different colorways of the liner, but one of them was out of stock or was different dye lots or something. So I got this one, the liner. And I got enough for the Thea top for that. This is kind of a little bit of my plans as well, I suppose. The Thea top, and what else did I get? Is that it? Oh, and I got some Madelinetosh, Tosh Merino Light. Let me see, where did I get? So I got 2 skeins of Nocturne, which is kind of like a bluey green. Yeah, they look nice. And I think that's going to be for Alpine Bloom. And then with that, I was either going to use, this is Peach Bellini, or, not sure about this one. This was Kawaii Core, whatever that is. So that's very sparkly. Whichever one I don't, I think I'll probably pick this one. I think I like this one better. Whichever one I don't use will probably become a muscle bra. Maybe that one. That would be an interesting muscle bra because it's got lots of sort of dark speckles. Right, so, oh no, one more. When they told me there was some yarn that couldn't, they had to take out. Actually, I know what it was. It was, the yarn that they took out was actually some silk mohair that I was going to hold. That's why I was wondering, why do I have 2 tint liners that are almost the same color? One was going to be held with silk mohair for another ranunculus, and it was the 2 different dye lots for the silk mohair, the Isia silk mohair. So anyway, they took that out. So anyway, when they took that out and another yarn out, I did one more little order. I did this order on the same day. I thought they might have shipped it together, but they didn't in the end. So this is another tin liner in like a beigey kind of colorway, which is pretty similar to that Sweetgrass. Oh, no, different, much lighter. And I really wanted kind of like a beige top to wear with some of my work pants. So, yeah, so that will be nice as well. So I got a lot of pink tin liner, but I got a beige one as well. Yes, so lots of very exciting plans coming up for those. I think the only thing I'm like a little bit, but you know what? This is growing on me. This is actually really growing on me. Isn't that funny? I actually think that with just a little peak of that coming out might be nice. I don't know. Anyway, so that's my purchases, and I've kind of talked a lot about plans in there as well. So it kind of has a bit of that plans in there too. So let me talk about, I guess I have mentioned the couture top, the Soho top, the Thea top, Alpine Bloom, the half and half wrap, yeah, that's, so the other ones that I haven't talked about are the Camisole No. 4, which I'll use the Knitting for Olive Pure Silk in the raspberry pink colorway. And I will, I don't know when, but I will make another Carnaby skirt in this. This is the Rowan Felted Tweed colorway Treacle. That looks a bit black, but it's actually really brown with these really nice blue and brown, light brown flecks in it. So I think a brown tweedy Carnaby skirt would be really nice too. And oh, what else have I done? So one thing I did do was I found this yarn in my stash because I was doing a bit of a tidy up, and this is Habu Textiles. It's 100% bamboo, and I have 4 skeins of it, so I knit a little swatch in it, and it's so pretty and kind of shiny, and it's fairly heavy yarn, and I'm getting about, let me see, what am I getting, about 21 stitches over 4 inches. So it's really, really soft, very drapey and sort of silky. Yeah, it's really, really lovely. And I think it's been in my stash for over 10 years, mainly because I've just been like, I'm not sure, not too many projects have made with it, and I'm not too sure what to knit with it. So I thought maybe another Audrey top. It really does. I'm not wearing a bra at all today with it, and like it really does. I'd probably be a little bit, I'd be all right. I wouldn't wear it to work, but I'd be all right going out and about in it. So I'm just thinking, is that different enough to, it's not that different, is it? Like, it sort of seems like a bit silly to make another one of these in practically the same color. The other thing I was thinking I could do is the Anchor Tee by PetiteKnit. I think that might look quite nice in that as well. So yeah, so it's definitely, it's not a black, but it's a very, very dark charcoal grey. So it's too similar. I think it's too similar to this to make another one. That would be a waste. The project that I really loved in this was Yarn Monsters, but she just sort of made up her own, I'll show you a picture of it. She made up her own pattern, and she sort of put some rough notes on it on her blog, but then now you can't actually access her blog anymore. You need like a passcode. I guess she's turned it into a private blog. So, and even then, like the notes weren't, I wasn't confident enough to make the top from that. So yeah, it was on there for years, so I had access to it for years and I never did. So yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what to make with that, but it's so soft. It's really, that will feel so nice next to the skin. Anyway, I obviously have way too many plans, but I'm excited about all of them. Some of them will probably fall off. But I'm looking forward to try. I think what I'm going to do is try some of the new yarn. Like I'm going to make a little swatch with the for the half and half wrap, like a little mini version, and I'll also just do some swatching with the, I even just like that, like when you get a new yarn, you're like, I'm going to swatch this yarn, see how it behaves, what it's like. So I'll swatch with the Tin Leaner and the Leaner just to get a bit of an idea, and I'll try to swatch with like a particular project in mind so that it will serve as a proper gauge swatch with those needles. Yeah, so that's my plans coming up. I still do think I'll make the field sweater and pink velvet. But yeah, that's because I don't have the exact yarn picked out. I did think about this Wollmeise Feldmaus with the pink velvet, but I haven't got around to sort of digging it out and swatching it, which I would do. Right, so that's my purchases and plans. Now I'm up to my hidden whips basket. So I dyed that skirt. Now, because I'm smiling, you probably think I'm happy with the result. I'm sort of happy with the result. So one really successful thing was that it totally evened out the 2-color issue that I had with the different dye lots. So this is the, let me see, okay. This is the dyed color, and it's looking really nice, really, really even. But the problem came in the pot, I think, was not big enough. So there was a portion of the dye that settled around one patch of the skirt. And can you see that big blotch of dye? Yes, of course you can. You can see that big blotch of dye right there. So everything else like turned out so well. I'm probably laughing. I'm laughing because I think this is my second time dyeing it. The first time the dye just completely ran out because the water wasn't hot enough. This time it worked so well, but too well in one little patch, and that's my own fault. I kind of knew the pot was a bit small. Just the fabric wasn't able to move around as freely as I would like. So what to do? Do I go and buy, like, it has to go darker again, obviously. It has to go at least as dark as that, and I need to try and find a pot, because I don't do that much dyeing, so I'm certainly not going to use any of my big pots that I use for making stock. So I'd have to go and buy another pot and then buy some more dye, and like I would maybe buy it in like a chocolate brown color, because I don't have a chocolate brown, and it wouldn't be tweedy. But then I'm like, well, I was going to make one in this, but I'm running out of options for color because it's getting darker and darker. So anyway, maybe I will just I might go to a local thrift shop and see. Sometimes they sell pots and things like that, so I might be able to find like a large pot at a thrift shop and buy some brownish kind of dye. That's my current plan, but I think sadly this one might have to go back in the whips basket until I can find another pot. Sorry. Anyway, yes, until I can find another pot and another. But I'm bummed because this red, this red is really nice. It turned out so good. And I just don't think I can live with that. Like, it really looks like I've sat in grease. So what a shame. What a shame. And that's not going to come out, I don't reckon. Like, it's really fixed to that level. Yeah, anyway, that's the Carnaby skirt that I'm trying to fix, but it, and look, it hasn't felted or anything. Like, it's actually still looking, and it's still feeling nice. Anywho, still work in progress. But yeah, I might pull something else out of the Hidden Whips basket next week, because this one is going to have to go back until, but I'll be looking for a pot, and I think I will buy like a chocolatey brown dye. I already have made a black one, so I'm not going to dye it black because that's a bit silly. Oh, one thing that did happen though was there was some yarn that I bought on D-Stash, some Skein Merino Cashmere DK, and I chucked that in the pot as well, and that's come out quite nicely, and I might use that for a Sophie scarf. So that looks like a really nice red color, and I've got a full skein of that, and it's really nice and soft, so that would be nice for a Sophie scarf, I think. Although you have to be a bit careful if you're wearing a light color, because I dyed it. I have to make sure I get rid of get rid of any excess dye. So yeah, it feels nice and soft and squishy. Right, so I'm up to the knit along and announcing winners. Right, so I wrote it down. I need to find it now. Right, so the piece of paper where I wrote the 3 winners' names down is somewhere in my work bag, and that's a mess, so I'm not going to try messing with that now. So I'll just put your names down below. The 3 people, they have won a pattern up to $10 value on Ravelry. If you're able to message me on Instagram to let me know that you won and what pattern you'd like me to buy, and then I think the easiest way for me is I can just send it to you as a gift purchase through Ravelry. If you're not on Ravelry, can you let me know and we'll try and figure something else out. Yes, so yes, congratulations and thanks everyone for participating, and yeah, I loved seeing everyone's projects, so thank you. Right, so I think that's it for all of the knitting content. I haven't done any other craft. I've been pretty busy with all the other like marking and stuff. So I'm doing personal stuff now. So if you're signing off, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. And now personal stuff. Right, so I was going to go to my local yarn store last Thursday for their social knit night, but I just was so tired by the time I got home. I find that sometimes the thought of actually going out in the evening, which is probably why cards on Thursday night at home works so well, because I can just be in my jammies and playing cards online, and Zooming with friends is easier than actually getting up in the Thursday night and going out during the week. I don't mind Friday night, but weeknights I'm sort of a bit like I like to be home. So I didn't end up going. I enrolled in an online course for Extension 2 Maths, because I'm going to be teaching that next term, so in a few weeks, and I just want to be like fully all over the content and how to teach it and ready to go when those classes start. So I'm doing a bit of, and I can watch, like as I read and watch the videos, I knit as well. So I just started that. It was Father's Day on Sunday, and that was okay actually. We just had, it was a nice day for my husband. We had lovely dinner with my mum here and one of my daughter's boyfriends, and so there was the 7 of us for dinner, and it was really lovely, and I was just able to remember my dad and how special he is to me. So it was good. It will be his birthday on Sunday, would have been his birthday on next Sunday, but I'm feeling good and really grateful for him in my life. And thanks everyone for your encouragement and yeah, kind words. So it's been just like a pretty busy week with marking and learning extension 2 content, and today is normally my day off, but because there's been a lot of staff sick and excursions and things, they needed an extra teacher to come for a casual day. So I did that today, and I get paid for that. So that was nice, because we just had a lot of, we had renovations and getting a new car for the kids, and the pool was leaking. So like just a little bit of money back in the bank is helpful. So I did that today. And that's why I was wearing the Lotta dress, because I wore that to work today. So yes, so what's coming up? My in-laws just arrived, so I haven't seen them yet. So I've arrived home and they've had a nap, because they fly from San Fran. So they live in San Jose, and they go down to San Francisco and then fly from there. And so it's a long flight, and so they're napping. So I haven't actually seen them yet, but they left my my yarn packages on the chair, so I was able to go through them. So we'll have dinner tonight. They've already been to the grocery store and bought mince and stuff for Mexican, and of course they've brought all of the Apricot and Reindeers and enchilada sauce and everything from the US. So, and everyone will be home, and because sometimes, you know, dinners with big families, people are sort of come and go. We don't always get to eat together. Tonight everyone will definitely be together eating. So yeah, that'll be really lovely to see them when I finish this, and I'll try and edit it and get it up tomorrow and try and stick to my usual schedule. If I have to miss next week's recording because of family time, I might miss it. So I'm just sort of giving you the heads up. Might be 2 weeks to my next one, just spending time with family. One other thing we've got coming up is, while they're here, is some of the teachers at school and students at school are in a local musical production of School of Rock. So we're going to that on Wednesday night. So all of us, so my in-laws as well. So that should be nice. Yeah, so that's it for what's happening in my life and in my knitting. And yeah, I do hope to do another recording next week. Sorry if I got a bit you know, all over the shop, but yeah, and if you were in the knit along, thanks so much for participating in that. And yeah, and it's nice now I've got more people on Ravelry who I know, not on Ravelry, on Instagram, that I know are watching, so I get to see your makes as well. So thanks for that, and yeah, I'll see you next week. Bye.